Alright, this your boy G, and we're back on the attack. Let's do this. Where are we going? Where are we going? We going to Long Beach Island? Nah. Nah. We going to Lakehurst? Yeah. Going to the Harley shop. Let's go. And so this video is kind of a retro kind of perspective. I'm just wondering, for you guys that are in my audience, you know, you're a biker guy. What else were you into besides bikes as a kid? Because typically bikes weren't our thing unless we were like the hardest of hardcore off-roaders or something. And you had to live in certain areas if you were a Jersey person for that to really be a scenario. So of course I was into cars, for example, you know. One of my old videos I talk about my friend's Mustang and my brother's 68, I think it was, Camaro, and what he did to it and how fast it was and yada yada yada. And you know, I was brought up kind of like riding mini bikes, but not really ever owning my own. We used to ride the three-wheeler ATVs when we got a chance, but I never really owned one. I had to, you know, because I was living in a suburb most of the time, I had, and you know, everything you do in a suburb is illegal. If you sneeze, it's illegal. So you're definitely not riding a motorcycle around your suburb as a kid. So, you know, you get your moped and that's legal, and you take you baffle off and make it obnoxious, and you ride it through the woods like a crazy man, or at least that's what me and my buddies did, you know. So I did all that stuff, but like honestly, like cars, and for a guy that lived around the corner from me, his name was Eric Green, he was kind of ahead of the game, I guess, and he was already into giant trucks. And I don't know where you live, but where I live in Tabernacle, New Jersey, a young teenage boy wants a giant truck. He doesn't want a Camaro. Wow, these roads are horrifying right now. Cool. And so I wondered about that. What were you guys into? So I'm going to bring up one real quick thing, and then you guys can kind of leave comments if you want, and say what you were into. So of course I was into cars, but speaking of giant trucks, giant trucks became the thing when I was a kid because of Bigfoot. If you don't know what Bigfoot is, and I'm not talking about the Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster Bigfoot. I'm talking about the truck Bigfoot, which had just gigantic tires and this gigantic lift. And where I live, there's a place called Atco Raceway. It's still there. They still race all the time, but now it's just like a way of life because you can't do it on the Jeep anymore. And Bigfoot, we see Bigfoot on the TV a couple times. My dad thought, you know, oh my goodness, look at that, that's amazing. And if my dad paid attention to it, I paid attention to it a little bit, and my brothers thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden we find out that Dad's taking us to Atco Raceway. And, you know, we had no idea why we were even going. So we get there, and these drags, you know, it's drag races are going on. Atco Raceway is a drag strip. Probably should have said that. And the cars are loud as all snot, and you feel frightened just being behind like the chain link, watching them. But it's also like pretty exhilarating feeling. Well, my dad, he had gotten us these tickets because he wanted to see Bigfoot, and Bigfoot was going to be there that night. You know, again, I didn't know any of this. By the way, you love how this Every time you get too hard of a bump, this thing just goes ham. It's cool, right? And I have to fix it. So, eventually the truck comes out and I see Bigfoot up close, and I mean, it was just like, wait, what is happening to my world? And this dude comes out, and instead of like going down this is the 80s, mind you, and instead of going down the drag strip against another person or something, which shortly thereafter there was a couple challengers to Bigfoot, but at the time it was just Bigfoot was the phenomena. And they lay out a bunch of cars, and he just starts, riding over the top of cars and crushing them, and oh yeah. And then he jumps a ramp and jumps a couple cars and hits a car, and the back wheels fly up in the air. The truck's all loud as snot. People are cheering, and that's it. If you're a little boy in the 80s, you're growing up with, big brothers that are 70s kids, and so they're all gearheads, and your dad's a truck driver. Like, that's it. It's over. You're a fan. You're all in. So, for me, that was it for me. Like, that was one of the things that I was into. And I just wondered, like, what else were you guys into besides just, motorcycles? Because some of us, like, even if I was, like, given a dirt bike and there was a track around the corner or some woods around the corner that I was actually allowed to be in, because there were woods around the corner that I was in all the time, but I just wasn't allowed to be there. The thing is, in the East Coast, when the winter hits, you can't really do that stuff too well. So you're probably not only into two-wheeling. Your boy G. Oh wow, that's kind of beautiful. And I'm out. Peace.